Hello, welcome to this place on the internet. I talk about comics. I apologize for this scary Halloween sort of vibe we got going on today, but I just got off a 13-hour flight and I'm not in my own home, and audio for this one might be a nightmare as well as visually. I thought it was really nice. I started getting some replies on what people's goals are for 2024, and I thought I'd just take a minute and answer one of those, and we'll do this throughout the week. Again, I apologize for, the quality of my videos is never great, but this is discouraging. This is scary stuff here, but okay. So this one's from a fellow named Robert, or at least that's his username, and he says, hello Patrick, do you have any advice in pitching to Black Mask or Image? Any experience that you can impart working with either or? I have a pitch ready to send, and after reading a significant portion of each publisher's work, I find these two publishers offer a viable home. Thank you. Okay, so first let me say, I haven't worked with a ton of publishers. There's some guys out there that have worked with everybody under the sun. I have a co-credited at Marvel, a number of works at Black Mask, Z2, I have a book, and Image. Oh, Aftershock, pardon me. So those are the publishers that I've worked with. If I forgot anybody, forgive me. I'm a pretty loyal dude. That's not just convenience. It's just the sort of fellow that I am, that if you saw something worthwhile in me, even if your purposes were to exploit me, I want to reward that, because it's not as though it's easy out here. People that give you a chance early on, I think there should be some compensation there. I don't know if that's the right word. So some, give back in whatever way you can, because anybody taking a chance on you early is very, very likely not going to see any real benefit from it. Now, they're not acting out of charity. They're hoping that they do see something out of it, but just that chance, man. I like to give back to anybody that gave me a chance. So I like to work with people I've worked with. Not everybody does that. Some people are shooting for excitement every time, something new every time, a better deal every time. You should pursue better deals whenever available, but not at the expense of connections that you have with people. It's a delicate balancing act, because sometimes there will be a real benefit and other times it's all in your head, So those are the publishers I've worked with, and that's been my experience up to this point. So let me talk about the two that you asked about. Black Mask. So Black Mask it has a reputation for kind of the transgressive material of the 20-teens, right? And at the time, that was, in some people's estimation, progressive or kind of woke material. At the time, people were calling it SJW material. I don't think people use that language anymore, but it was a lot of kind of now politics, right? Now, Black Mask as a publishing entity has a lot of those values, because really there's one person at the publisher's helm, but it's also a core value of that individual to just put out whatever the transgressive thing of the moment is. I would not consider him a troll, but he just likes to do the thing that will push things, right? So his personal tastes lean far more, to be honest, his personal tastes lean almost exclusively 80s black and white indie boom. That's what he grew up on. That's what brought him to comics. He's not a superhero guy. He likes the stuff that's going to turn something on its head or make a comment, right? Making a comment is what's important to him. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people didn't like about the publisher at the time, but it's also what made them important, right? So my work for that publisher is kind of doesn't fit within that mold. And that's because I am a firm believer that your stories are not supposed to have a purpose other than to be a story and to reveal something about your inner life. I don't think that I don't think a good story ever starts with the moral or the political premise, or I just think it's about getting something off your brain, and then you realize what it is after. So I'm sure that there's other creators at Black Mask that see the world as I do, but a lot of their work read political, whereas mine does not. That said, that publisher is not looking for explicitly political material at all. They are looking for, as I said, material with a point of view. Extra points if that point of view is skewed in some way, is transgressive in whatever respect. I guess that's the operating guidepost is transgressive. So you should ask yourself, if you're going to pitch there, can you find material like mine anywhere else on the shelves? If you can, Black Mask may not be your publisher because they're not interested in doing head-to-head competition with any of the other publishers. They're interested in having their own niche and their own perspective. So I think that would be an overall piece of advice. That said, there's nothing that publisher is locked into in terms of art style. Every type of writer has gone through that publisher, so they're not focused on any type of familiar thing. They would just like it to be as challenging as possible while still being somewhat saleable through the direct market. They're willing to take real chances. A lot of my material for them was very far from sure thing, and they took a shot each time. There's a lot of latitude to take chances and do interesting things. So I'm a big proponent of Black Mask. I enjoy my working relationship there a lot. And in terms of what I would bring to actually pitch, I don't have the time to do it today, but at some point I'll share my pitch documents for all of my works. I do things a little bit differently. When I work with an artist, I say, hey, why don't we do the following? Instead of putting together 5 pages of our book as a pitch, why don't we do a double-page spread or 3 pages that are aimed directly at the publisher, that are speaking to the publisher and sort of summarizing what we're trying to accomplish and giving a taste for what it's going to be overall. In my view, this is much more effective than asking someone to read your full comic or asking someone to draw conclusions about your comic based on the first 5 pages, which may not get to anything substantive about your work. So we do packed 2-page spreads that convey the tone of the thing and talk a little bit about what it's about. Often I'll have the main characters interacting and talking about the themes of the book. It's not regular, but it has served me well. It's punchy and it is brief. These are probably the most important things about a pitch. I hear all the time that Europeans like the long pitch describing what every character is about. American publishers, often that would be step 2. Step 1 is just get people's attention, something sexy, lock them in, and get that email back. So I would advise doing that for Black Mask. I would lead with what the book is about, period. For example, in the subject line, if my book was about a train derailing in Pennsylvania, I would do something sexy for the subject line, like America doesn't care about its poor, the book. You know what I mean? Like, and now he's going to click on that. He might think, "Oh, come on, that's you're trying to feed me some red meat. You think you know what the publisher's about? Come on." But he's going to click it, and when he clicks it, if what follows is actually engaging, or also what he's interested in putting out, you got a shot. So that's how I'd go about that. Regarding pitching image, this is a little bit more difficult in my experience. Now, perhaps if you cold email them, slush pile sort of thing, with something that just is undeniably gripping, It would have to forget your story. Your story is not going to matter at first glance because Image gets so many goddamn submissions that if you wanted to get through on the strength of the project, not your name, not somebody being able to go through your material and see if you have some talent and kind of check you. If you want to get in there on a single project that you think that's it. If I just know if somebody saw it there, they would love it. It's going to have to be the most mind-blowing fucking art that's ever existed. So just like Black Mask, it's a bit of an autocracy. There's one person there who makes decisions. Now that doesn't mean that staff doesn't have a lot of input or that they couldn't really advocate for something, but it means that at the end of the day, there is a person's taste who trusts their taste because they've done a lot of good work up till this point. They've put out work that people feel really strongly about and has made the company money. So they're going to run what you send them through their lens and say, this works, this doesn't work based on my experience. There's not a committee, right, at either company. I think your odds of getting something in there without the advocacy of another creator are not good. It doesn't mean it's impossible at all. You hear these stories from image creators that, I was just in the slush pile, picked it up, connected, bam, next thing I know, I'm at the start of my career. But for the most part, and from my experience, I am at Image, I believe, and I could ask Eric if this is the case, because of the nice words of some other image creators. My work was getting around due to Black Mask, and it was for the heads, people liked what I put on paper. Certainly I worked with great artists, and I had some buzz, maybe tiniest amount, but it was really other creators that said, oh, this guy's good. And some of their chatter got to Image, and it was for that reason that I was given a bit more of an audience with Eric, who makes decisions over there, and we saw eye to eye on some projects, thought some things would make sense, and I'm very grateful. But it was largely because of two big name creators that he trusted saying, hey, this guy's got something. So I'm not trying to discourage you at all from submitting to Image, but I don't think that I could have gotten in there had I been submitting every week for my adult life. And that's just because of the volume that they get. Everybody in a pitch can look brilliant. If you don't look brilliant in a pitch, you're doing it very wrong. So it's a massive help to you if you have some track record. I mean, that's obvious, right? But if you have credentials that you've earned at another indie publisher, if you can make some type of name for yourself, get noticed at those publishers, then Image, Marvel, DC, they're going to pay attention to that because it takes so much to cut through the noise there. Again, that's not a knock against those publishers. And what they do is important. I think I get very discouraged. I get very downhearted. Downhearted? Is that the right phrase? I get very discouraged when I see retailers talk about small publishers as though they're a waste of people's time. They are so important. They are where you get your sea legs, and they are where you make a name. By the time that you're at these other publishers, that might blast you out broadly, but it is not what caught the attention of the heads, of the people that really have their ear to the ground and are interested in what's going on in comics. And a lot of times those people, in at least a circuitous way, can be the people that put you on and make you relevant to the publishers that you may ultimately want to call home. So I would not tell you not to submit to Image. I would just tell you that you're probably better served by going with a smaller publisher and doing exemplary work there and cutting through the noise and leaving a mark in that smaller space there's a very good chance you're not going to make any money, and you at times might think that nobody is seeing it. But if the right people see it, you are making steps in your career. And you have to bear that in mind and not get discouraged. And I hope nobody takes this as I suffered, so you have to suffer advice. Because I was not suffering when I was at small publishers. Black Mask and Aftershock both did totally right by me. Whether you see comics as a ladder, that a traditional career trajectory, you're climbing, 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 or you find places that you can call home that you think are the right fit for you, whichever one, you still have to make that name in the smaller publishers. So that's what I would urge you. Again, I'm not discouraging you from pitching an image. Things happen all the time, and I'm not a good model in this respect. The only success I've had in my career has come from putting my head down and doing more work. That is not everybody's journey. Some people are buzzy out the gate. Something about what they do resonates, and that's awesome. It could be you, but for myself, I just get better with every book and hope that people notice. And up to this point, they have, and I'm grateful. So that's my advice regarding the actual mechanicals of pitching at Image. I would try to find somebody to advocate for you, but if you're going to go cold, just same advice as any other publisher. Keep it punchy. Do not spell out your world. Don't make it about that type of shit. Nobody cares about the magic system in in your fantasy world. Nobody gives a crap about how much thought you've put into anything. That, I guess, is probably the most practical advice I could give somebody pitching publishers. Publishers do not care about how much thought you've put into the granular details, the nuts and bolts of the setting of your story. They don't care about that. They want to know, does this story have some resonance? Is there something about it, whether that's an emotional resonance that people want to come back to it and turn their friends onto it because it tugs on their heartstrings, or is it just plainly fucking cool? Or is it saying something, left of the dial, odd, challenging, interesting in that way? This is what publishers want to know. They do not want to know that you devoted the last 3 years of your life to figuring out the eels in the Cape of Mortuno. You know, I mean, that's not it. So just punchy, direct, show the art. The art is what's going to grab attention. It's concept art. Boom. After that, if somebody's interested in everything else, they're interested in everything else. But what is it in essence, and why is it cool? That's it. I hope that was any help whatsoever. I hope I didn't scare you too much with my look today. Thanks for your time. Goodbye.